person you faced has been a child. I am a grown-ass man, and I will put you in the ground and smile. But here's the best part about this whole thing. The guy that you like to mention because you like to be best friends with the boss, Tony Khan, paid me to show up. And now he's gonna pay me to kick your ass and take that championship. Oh yeah, you wanna go? But check the on. I swear on my beautiful mother's eyes, if you don't shut up, I'm gouging your eye out. All right? Let me speak. Yeah. It's my time now. Real easy, relax. You've had yours. Tony Khan said to me, you know what, King? If you want to know DQ, man, that's fine by me. Just, Cody has to accept. You have to accept, because either you're an egg-sucking dog or you're an egg-sucking bitch. Oh my God, I said something.
Welcome back, All Elite family, to another exciting edition of the All Elite podcast. As always, I'm your host, All Elite Andy, joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Big Match AJ, Phil, and Kira. How's everybody doing after an exciting night of Dynamite? I guess I should mention the fact, obviously, we're coming on a little bit later than usual. Way later than usual, a whole day later. Had a couple things going on, so I had to reschedule things, but we are here nonetheless, ready to talk about a great episode. Unfortunately, we had to push things off on such a great episode. But what did you guys think overall?
Like you said, great episode. I really liked this. There was only one match that really didn't do it for me, and that was the main event. But other than that, I really liked all the matches on this card. Even the Young Bucks and the Butcher and the Blade, even though I knew what was going to happen, it was still a fun match that I was able to kind of have fun with. So I really liked this show. It felt like the pacing was really fast. Like, it was just segment after segment after segment after segment. And it kind of like time was flying by. I was like looking at the clock and I was like, oh my God, it's already at the top of the hour. And then it's like, oh my God, we're already at the main event. And it was one of those, like when you feel like you're a kid and you just don't want Raw to be over. When you're a little baby.
Raw, oh man, brother, yeah.
You know what I mean, though.
No, but like the early days of Dynamite almost, when we would get halfway through the show and be like, wow, can they maintain this good of a show for the whole 2 hours? And sure enough, they pretty much did. So, yeah, I have to agree with you there. What do you guys think, Phil and Kira?
I was really excited for the women's stuff that they had going on, so that's cool. And it was a very exciting episode, and I'm glad that you guys are so positive about it, because last week, you guys were not, but I'm glad.
Man, I had really low expectations for the show. The show was like garbage on paper. We said it last week. We said it leading up to it in our chats, but it definitely blew away my expectations.
I was the only one that had hope.
And I think that adds to it. The lower expectations going in, just getting blown away.
Yeah, that's true.
It felt like the polar opposite from the last 3 weeks, where you have these big hyped up cards and then we walk away going, well, it was good. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but it was good.
Yeah, and that's almost the thing. Like, we had 3 weeks in a row where we felt like things should have been hyped up a little bit more, or should have been treated like maybe almost a pay-per-view event based on how they were promoting it. And to us, at least, it didn't come off or appear as that. But this show, we had pretty much as low expectations as we've had for a Dynamite in a while, and instead it ended up being a really positive show. So I thought it was great. I had to keep popping in and out of Dynamite because, like I said, I had some stuff going on last night, but I was able to catch most of what I missed after the show as well. But they kicked off the show in a way that I had to pause what I had going on just to watch. And I was like, damn, of course they start off the show with something hot to begin like a show where I have to be popping in and out, because Eddie Kingston, of all people, I was really confident that it was going to be Warhorse. Because of how they had been promoting it on social media and stuff. And I kind of just bought into that gimmick as in a fun way, playing along on social media and stuff, being like, oh, Cody quit running from Warhorse, just playing along with it, because at this point it feels inevitable. So rather than hate it, why not try to enjoy some of it? And then Eddie Kingston pops up on my TV. So I want to ask Kira first. She's someone who I'm sure is pretty unfamiliar, probably has no idea about Eddie Kingston. I want to know what you thought of him off the get-go, especially up against someone you don't like, Cody, so I'm sure it was pretty great for you.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was, and I was like, I'm glad they put the like lower third title in there for him, like making his AW. I put his like name. I think they do that, I guess, for everybody. Do they?
Yes.
Whatever.
Mostly.
But I was like, oh, okay. Like he's wrestled for a long time. I think they added that.
18 years.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I just never paid attention, but I thought that was nice. But anyway, yeah, he was a very good speaker. I think I retweeted someone's tweet that said he was really good on the mic, and I agree. He made it exciting. It wasn't like bad. I thought it was a little cheesy, but then I also really like the clip that we had in the beginning. That was great. What he said that he's an egg sucking bitch.
Yeah.
It was.
Go ahead, Phil.
It's funny because like we were sitting here reminiscing about this when the stuff he said, and I could tell you like word for word part of his promo, which is really good because it was great. You know, I wasn't really too excited when Eddie Kingston came out because I loved Eddie Kingston back in the day, but my first initial reaction was, wow, this guy's still wrestling. I haven't heard from him in a long time. And then he starts cutting this nasty promo, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why I liked Eddie Kingston so much back in the day, because that's his character. That's who he brings.
For sure.
And then they had such a great match. I think this is probably Cody's best TNT Championship defense.
Sure. Maybe, like, aside from Lance Archer, yeah.
Yeah, it was just such a... I thought the match really delivered. They had a great brawl. It was kind of right there in terms of that Lance Archer match and in the way they produced it and went about it, which I think probably is Cody's best type of matches, is when he is having a type of brawl with someone. So when they got to that, and it was just a nitty-gritty match, and obviously it being no DQ and implementing things like the thumbtacks and stuff, like, it was really fun, and we almost, I mean, at a point, I wanted Eddie Kingston to win for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I wanted to believe it could happen, even though in the back of my mind I was still like, it's probably not going to happen. It would have been an awesome surprise, but I understand there are people who really aren't familiar with him, but he's not as unfamiliar as I think some people may think. He's been around on Impact and stuff. So a couple, like 5-10 years ago, when he was just running the Indies and Chikara and CZW, it might make more sense. Now he's been on TV. I hope they continue to utilize him. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on Impact, he's been on NWA, he's been running around. So, like, but to that point, as of late, Eddie Kingston really has been becoming more and more prominent, at least in the independent scene, if you consider Impact Indie, which I do. It's been more like Eddie Kingston kind of like revenge tour. And he's been doing great matches, even in the NWA. So I love this, man. I was hoping to God, even though I knew it wasn't going to happen, that please let Eddie Kingston win and just give me a swerve and just give this a feud going into All Out. I would love that. But I knew it wasn't going to happen. But I really just hope the answer to all this is that they sign Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you guys see him coming back, or do you guys think this is like a one-off thing like Jeff Cobb? That's
well, apparently the story with Ricky Starks was this is coming from Brian Alvarez, so who knows, but that they saw his match, they brought him in for the tryout, and during the tryout they were so impressed with him that they signed him to a contract, or they got the contract ready then and there. So I don't know, I feel like this is more impressive than Ricky Starks was. So if that's the case,
I believe that too, because look what they've done with Ricky Starks. They're putting him in a prominent position now, even if it's just going to be Brian Cage's like bitch, I guess, kind of unless the
that's a good role for him though. 'Cause, I mean, that was his role with Nick Aldis. It was very well done.
Yeah. But yeah, I do want to see Eddie get a contract, especially now that he's like in the later stages of his career. It feels like this would be like the thing that makes him more money than he's made probably doing IWA South or whatever he's had to do to get to where he is now.
Yeah, and I want to say he was probably doing some NWA stuff at some point as well. So it's cool to see Eddie Kingston in this light, but I also wouldn't mind seeing him as someone who sort of comes and goes, especially if they don't have something specific for him. I don't really want to see him just come and float around on Dark like AJ had mentioned. If they don't have a specific plan for him, let him go back and do the Indies or whatever they want, whatever he wants to do. And if the potential lines up where he could do another appearance against Cody out of nowhere, they've sort of built up a story for that. You don't have to always address the story right away. It can be the placeholder right now, and we see where it goes down the line. Because there are a lot of new, fresh faces. That's what I liked about this episode, was it felt really fresh and well done. Eddie Kingston starting it out was the beginning of that, and there were a couple other like we got to see Ricky Starks, like you mentioned, later on in the show, just different faces we haven't seen so much. So it was exciting, and I thought this was a great match.
Yeah, what did you guys think about the finish?
I didn't hate it. I can see why some people might, because it was very fighting spirit, but it didn't really do the fight. It was like fighting spirit New Japan without the build up, and that's the problem. But I mean, they were working his leg. He did the figure four. I'm not gonna be mad about it.
I thought it was weird, but I'm not mad about it because they did tell the story that Eddie had the injury or whatever. His leg was being targeted throughout the match. Really don't like the figure four as a finish for Cody. It just feels like less impactful. It kind of seemed like out of nowhere. It seemed like the match was really building up to the climax, and then I really thought he was going to roll him over into the tax because they had just introduced the tax, and I thought there was a little more with that. But
I think if Cody needs to
too.
He needs to rework his moveset more to incorporate just consistent knee attacks if he's going to utilize the figure four like that. Because even if it is implemented as a story in the beginning of a match, it's really still a hard maneuver to believe at this point. The figure four is one that we've seen countered and just beaten down almost as a submission finish as wrestling fans. That in order to take that one really seriously, at least for me, it's hard unless there's really some impact done to the leg throughout the match. And yeah, they did some, but I still feel like it's almost got to be even a situation where you use that one when the story has been building up prior, like, oh, he's coming back from a leg injury, now he's working the leg. That's probably the times where I bought it most in wrestling, is when someone's coming back from a leg injury and then being put in a submission like that.
I think there might be a story, or maybe because I remember one of the announcers said, "Oh, there's got to be a story behind that," like how he was holding his knee and in pain about it. So maybe there is, and I guess they'll do it after this fight.
I would say it was more well done than last week with Cage and Moxley, because that kind of was just brought up. They tried to make it a thing, but they brought it up 10 minutes before the match started.
And the funny thing is that one was a legitimate injury that we knew about, so and it adds to the fact he looks like he's a beaten down guy, so it's believable that Eddie Kingston already has a messed up leg, because he doesn't look like he's super physically fit and ready to go for a 5-star match or whatever. So
the other thing is, I really don't want to see Eddie Kingston tap out. I get it.
Yeah.
But
he's a tough, gritty motherfucker. I want to see him get knocked out if you have to beat him.
Or roll him into the tax, and then that would have been at that point where I'm more believable that he's going to tap out, because he's like, oh, fuck. But nonetheless, it was still the best TNT title match, and something they built up off of the social media steam and ran with it. So I like, because Eddie Kingston was someone else who was being pushed a lot in the comments or the retweets about people who Cody should face. So it's interesting to see them follow up with stuff like that. I still think they're gonna do the Warhorse thing, but I don't know how that will go over. I think in general social media will like it, but it's a risky one, I think.
I think that's the thing. It's social media will like it, but I can see why a lot of people would like Eddie Kingston. Even people who aren't on Twitter.
Well, he came out and cut a promo that was badass before. You know what I mean?
There's that, and also he's been in wrestling long enough to where if you watched indie wrestling at any point, you probably are somewhat familiar with Eddie Kingston. Warhorse, though, I don't know who Warhorse is, man.
He just has funny gifs.
Yeah.
He has great gifts. If you ever need to use a gift, search up Warhorse. I promise you won't be disappointed.
AJ Kira had before we move on. Kira had a nice comment last night that Eddie Kingston gets his eyebrows done, and Eddie, he said he was a beaten down guy, but he's got well manicured eyebrows. So I just wanted to make sure that made it onto the podcast.
If he doesn't, then they look really nice, and I like them. I mean, that's crazy.
After she said it, man,
ain't nothing wrong with that, brother.
There isn't anything wrong. I was just saying, oh wow, it looks like he got
It is interesting though to think about someone like Eddie Kingston, the
right?
badass guy, But it's also funny because I've known a couple guys like that who have the more badass like personality, but make sure they keep up on their looks. So it kind of makes sense. But then again,
Yeah.
he's got a big belly, so I don't know how much he cares about looks.
My
but-
favorite story was hearing that Homicide is obsessed with cartoons, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, so everybody's got a little bit out of the box stuff, but moving on, Jon Moxley cut a promo for the next segment. This was pretty good. I don't know. I didn't catch the whole lot of what he was saying in this promo, so I don't really want to compare it to Eddie Kingston's promo. But I saw people on social media quickly comparing Eddie Kingston to Mox after this. So was this a good promo? Was it not very good? Was that why they were comparing it?
It was fine. I didn't get much. I thought Eddie Kingston's was way better.
Yeah.
And because Eddie Kingston was, right there, he had passion. He was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Jon Moxley was talking to a wall. So it's little apples and oranges to me. But it was a fine promo. I thought he did what he set out to do. Just saying that you were so close to me ripping off that bicep and Taz saved your life and this, that, and the third. I thought it was fine. The only thing was it confused me because I was like, are we really continuing Moxley and Cage? But I guess it's just to set up the tag team match, which makes sense. But other than that,
still
no,
kind of
it was
feels
a
like
fine
they're
promo.
continuing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that indicates to me that they're going a different direction because. I mean, do you guys go ahead if you guys want to speak much more on this? But going after this with MJF, it pushes me even more to think that they're just going to keep going with Mox and Cage. So
Yeah,
It
no,
really
I'm kind of in the
is-
same boat.
It really is disappointing too, because MJF isn't doing anything. Like I don't know what he's gonna do. It seems like he's a fresh, logical challenger for Moxley. I feel like them promoing on each other would make for great television, but they want to keep going in this weird direction where it feels like logically Cage and Darby is that is where that should go, and this is where the other one should go. But I don't know. I mean, they do have like 2 months to fill
that is
before
true.
the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought you said you liked this episode.
We do. It's
we
just
do. Yeah, it's just
keep saying
Oh, yeah,
where they're
okay.
going next is, and that's almost a better thing is we don't necessarily know where they're going next, but the
Yeah.
way it at least lines up right now, it just seems like a little confusing, I guess. But we'll have to wait and see. The promo was fine though by Mox, nothing terrible.
Like, I can see why, there's another match. I think, wasn't there some other person? It was Jericho who didn't want to have a rematch with Orange Cassidy and everybody booed. So, now this is the opposite where he's like, oh, we're getting a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
And then, except for now it's with Darby, which I guess it is a little confusing. Were they friends before? Did they
Not really.
help each other out ever before? Darby
Maybe
was...
once. I think maybe
think
Darby
once,
made the
yeah.
save once for
Yeah.
Mox, so it does make a little sense. I just wonder, that match is fine. It's just, are they then going to go with Mox versus Cage and then Darby versus Ricky Starks, or is it going to continue being Darby versus Cage? So
That's the question.
I just don't like
Yeah, I
whatever
don't know.
direction it goes. I'm not gonna like it because if Cage and Mox wrestle again and Cage loses again, his momentum's dead.
mhm.
If he wins, why not just let him win the first time and make
Yeah.
it a much more simpler thing? One more point to make, Andrew, to go back to what you were saying, they're comparing Kingston and Moxley's promos. I just think it's because they're similar characters. They are rugged bad guys. They're good talkers. They come up from a same kind of environment. So that probably is the only reason why people compared the promos.
yeah.
And they came back to back after each other. So
Yeah, that makes sense. And overall, it could just be a situation where Moxley is kind of putting this feud to rest for right now, and he'll revisit it down the line. But just him mentioning Cage right after this is what has me thinking that they might just be continuing it. Because I guess in wrestling, we're not totally used to there being a promo that ends the feud. But maybe that's what this is. This is him promoing to say, all right, if that happens again, he's not going to let go. But we'll have to wait and see. After this, we get another bit of an interview. MJF is interviewing Griff Garrison, asks how it feels to wrestle someone undefeated. Garrison reminds MJF that he lost a tag team match at Fyter Fest before getting decked. This was interesting. Was MJF comparing him to Jungle Boy, or?
Yeah, I think he was giving jabs.
Yeah, that's why at this point I was thinking, okay, are they doing MJF versus Jungle Boy still?
Yeah.
So
looks like it.
just based upon this little match and feud, or not even a feud, but the match and promo, it was interesting. Garrison got a decent amount of time against MJF. I thought MJF would put him to sleep relatively quick, but apparently not.
Well, he did drag it out a little bit, making him beg for mercy and then still beating the shit out of him.
That was a little creepy.
That was funny. I thought it was funny.
I liked it.
But I
Dude.
get why it was funny, but
It was so
still
confusing because they were telling the story that Griff Garrison he's a bad guy. You know, he's not gonna. He has his beliefs and he's not gonna say the thing. And then he broke down and said what MJF wanted him to say, and I was like, this guy's a bitch.
Yeah.
He did
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I lost all respect for Griff Garrison, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, they were like building him up as like, you know, like when John Cena, Kurt Angle, and on
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
And
too.
then like it's like if John Cena tapped out. I don't know how that ended.
I don't remember either.
But I don't know. Overall, it's interesting just to see them continuing what this is. Because like I said, him just referencing Jungle Boy during this and all of that, it just gives me the feel that MJF and Jungle Boy aren't done feuding, or maybe it's just MJF will have a lifelong thing where he just is always picking at Jungle Boy. So I don't know.
Maybe. I really don't know either. And I was hoping it would be Max and Dean. John Moxley, to go for the next
it's been
rivalry
a year
for Moxley. I know, right? But I was really hoping it would be Mox and MJF. But even though I know that MJF isn't going to take the strap off of him, I still want to see that match.
You don't know that.
Well,
I think everyone should take the strap off him. Yeah, but it could just be a placeholder situation for MJF too. Like I said, that's where it's a bit confusing. We'll have to wait the next week or two, see exactly which direction they're planning on going with these characters, because MJF is literally ranked number 1. Him as a character doing anything at this point but sitting out until he gets a title match almost makes no sense. Like, the fact that he continues to compete is shocking to me, because he's such a dickhead character. He should be saying, you know, why? Why am I continuing to appear when I'm number 1 and not getting any title matches at all? His character, just from his character, it makes no sense. So I don't know. I just don't expect to see too many more MJF matches until he gets a title shot, especially because he won this match. I thought maybe if you do some kind of shocking upset with Griff, which I didn't want, but you could then bring him down the rankings and do that Jungle Boy thing. Him winning this makes me feel like if they're doing anything but putting him in a title picture, it just makes no sense.
And here's the real thing for me is MJF is kind of floating around. Like, maybe he's feuding with Jungle Boy, maybe he's feuding with Mox. Whatever the case is, they need to just start it, because MJF is not, like, as much as he can carry himself week to week by just promoing, he's gonna lose steam if you don't have anything going on for him.
Yes, absolutely. And another feud with Jungle Boy isn't it. You know, it's almost, he is someone who has been built up to a point where he absolutely is in position to take that next step into the real main event scene, being a champion. If he was the champion of AEW, coming out, cutting snarky promos, running away from everybody, all of this stuff, it would be super believable and really fun, I think, at this point, because we almost need, like, the world is in such a shitty place that I know that the idea of having a superhero champion would be great, but Mox isn't that. So we need a bad guy champion just to fit what is going on. And then we get the superhero character from that. You know what I mean? The Jungle Boy or anybody else who comes up and dethrones MJF 3 months, 4 months down the line. So that's just a story I'd really like to see. But, you know,
I agree. Yeah, that would be fun.
We'll wait and see. One story we have seen developing for quite a while is Britt Baker, and we got an update on her this week from Rebel. Basically saying that we will probably see her. She is the Michael Jordan of AEW's women division, and we will particularly see her at All Out, which makes a lot of sense. Good to see an update on Britt, and, you know, but it does become a point of, like, how much longer can we do this? I think we've probably said this a couple times, but it is still good to get an update. So I guess you can still do it longer as long as we're not, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where it's weird, but I'm still okay with it. That's where I find myself, like, struggling to critique it like that, because I am still okay with it, but I do, like,
I want something more from it, I guess, but I would probably be fine with it because it's so short and not really like it's not awful. It's just a short reminder, hey, I'm gonna be back. Hey, I'm gonna be back. But I just wish, like you guys have said plenty of times, I wish Rebel could wrestle or anything like that. To just do a little bit more.
Just bringing in a friend. Hey, I got a friend who's gonna beat the shit out of Big Swole. You know, anything.
They're in a weird spot because this definitely feels like a feud that would have ended at Fyter Fest or the Fall, and if she had been healthy. But no, we're still getting this, which I know it's not bad television or anything, but you know.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know. I didn't really like this segment. I mean, I liked it, but I guess that's the same feeling as you guys. I'm not sure if I want more, but it's still like I like it at the same time, you know? I don't know. And I'm just upset about Big Swole being suspended, but maybe that has something to do with other outside interferences.
Oh,
it's just against and it's I don't know. What a weird thing that one is. Yeah.
She's about to be suspended longer than Sammy.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it is all just that part is definitely a little bit like and that's I guess the point, you know, we as fans should be frustrated so when she gets her comeuppance it's going to be even better, you know, like because we were actually frustrated as to how long she's been held off of TV because of something so stupid. But in the thick of it, it is kind of annoying just when you think about it realistically too. But overall, I do. What?
How does she have the authority to get Big Swole suspended for nothing?
Dude, Britt is just the queen of AEW. That's what is like. I'm not going to go in too deep about it right now, but when she comes back, if her match really falls flat, then I'll have something to say about Britt because I really like Britt, and they've given her a lot of time. But I'm just worried about, like, one, how good she'll be after coming back from an injury, because they've done this in the past, like in other companies with wrestlers who have worked for 10 years and then can be on the mic and come back so they're not having horrible ring rust. Britt's been wrestling, 5-6 years? So coming back, the ring, or maybe even longer, I don't want to misspeak that bad, but however long it's been, she still looks kind of green at points when she does wrestle. So coming back from an injury, she's not going to look like the best wrestler in the world. So I'm going to wait and let her prove me wrong on that thought. But I'm just worried that we're giving a lot of time to someone who's been injured a couple times. She has an outside career. Like she has things that if I were to get injured that many times, how many times do you think she's gonna get a concussion before she's like, well, I could just be a dentist? So that's my.
We were saying a year ago that she is the ace. Remember that?
She still is based upon how they're presenting her, but and I'm not saying they should stop presenting her this way because she does make sense in this position, but it's something that like I'm worried about, and hopefully 5 years down the road she's the superstar they want her to be and not have had to retire because of other outside situations. So I just hope she comes back, has a great match, but we'll have to wait.
You took the words out of my mouth, though, because the ring rust, and on top of that, Britt Baker's best matches are when she's facing somebody who's better than her, frankly. And that's could be a problem, because I don't know who's better in the Big Swole Britt Baker dynamic. They're kind of both, they have their green spots, and they're not always the best, and, you know, they kind of mess up. So I don't know if that match is going to be able to deliver like they've been hyping it up to.
The 3 months of build? Yeah, probably not.
Yep. So we'll still have to, like I said, I'm 100% down to wait and see on what Britt Baker does, but I'm skeptical. And that will be where if she comes back and has a great match, I'll be singing her praises even more because I am a little bit on the negative side just because it's been a while. If she had been working this whole time, it'd be different. If she was able to train like Brandy, for instance, Brandy has the ability to continue training without being a character on TV. So when she comes back, I'll expect her to be better. With Britt, it's hard to have expectations like that. So we'll see. Continuing on, Taz comes out and he's with Cage. He sort of explains what happened, why he threw in the towel. He says that Cage was close to firing him. I kind of wish we had gotten some type of backstage segment with this. I know that could be seen as a little carny in some cases, but I would have liked to see Cage backstage freaking out on Taz. Why is this happening? And maybe Taz breaking it down to him in that matter. A little bit more of like a thematic type of promo there. But
instead of just announcing it to us.
But it was still fine and good. At the very least, they broke it down for us, because if they just kept moving on like can happen sometimes in wrestling, you just feel dejected as a fan. The fact that they explained it was great. And then, of course, like continuing on, having Darby come out, Ricky Starks, building up a whole lot with this. This was fun. So what did you guys think about the whole segment, Taz's promo?
I thought it would make sense, and it was just kind of reiterating what we already, got from the story of the match, that he doesn't want to risk losing his guy. He doesn't want to risk him going through 5-6 months of rehab. And it makes sense. And like you said, I wish we could get some backstage stuff, not in the WWE style of backstage stuff where it's just two guys talking, pretending a camera isn't there. I liked what fucking TNA did for a while. I don't know if they still do it, where they would kind of have people with hidden cameras spying on the locker room so that it felt kind of natural, like oh, we're not just talking to a camera, like we don't know we're being watched. I would have liked something like that. But I like the promo. I thought Taz is always a good promo, man. He's one of the best managers AEW has. He always delivers on the mic. And he has a really believable character of just being like this tough son of a bitch who's angry and bitter. And I don't know. I love Taz, man. He's great. I love his stupid commentary, too.
Yeah.
I like the segment. It was a little confusing, though, because I watched the Dark segment like an hour before Dynamite started. And it felt really, really similar in that sense. The fact, a Taz promoed instead of a match happening. But I felt like if you were going to reveal this, like, alliance, why not just do it on Dynamite where people are going to, like, see it and be shocked by it instead of, like, most of us just reading it online like, oh, shit, that happened on Dark. I got to go watch it. I could see why they did it. But the fact that it was just so similar to the segment that I just had seen, why not just save it for television?
I think maybe just the difference is like this time Mox had the wherewithal because he saw it happen on Dark to be able to make the save. As dumb as that can sound, like there you go. It works out if you want to break it down. And I just thought overall, like I love aligning Ricky Starks with all this because he's such an unknown character, but looks like a potential superstar just based upon how he is, his build.
Yeah.
And so putting him with someone like Taz who can speak for him and alongside someone like huge like Cage, there is a lot you could do with this guy. If Cage ends up becoming champion, Ricky Starks was introduced challenging for the TNT title, so he could easily be up in that same picture challenging for the TNT title again down so he could easily be as singles himself. And this could be a formation of something very interesting. So I like what they're doing here with these guys. And it was interesting. And then just bringing Mox out, it's cool because they kept these two together, the Mox and Darby thing. Like we said, they haven't been best friends throughout their whole tenure, but I do definitely recall Darby making the save for Mox at least once. So it makes sense for Mox to return the favor, especially up against Cage. So this is cool.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I like this idea of the match. Like, I like this Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage. And wherever that leads, because that's the thing, I have no idea where this is going to lead. And I kind of like that. I kind of like just being in suspense, not knowing what they're going to go with, not knowing who they're going to go with. To an extent, I feel like, they should pull the trigger on what they're doing. But, we have, 2.5 months before All Out? So... Yeah. There's no big rush. You can just leave us in suspense for a little bit. That's fine.
Could you imagine if they fight next week, Starks takes the pin, and then Cage just beats the shit out of him?
Just destroys Starks. That's the end
don't
of it.
Say that.
I don't see it. I don't see it. Just based upon how they've built it up. But we've seen it in wrestling before, so it's not impossible.
The momentum killer.
But it's a cool little situation we got going on here with Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, and Darby and Mox. Like, I like that there can just be friendships in wrestling. They don't have to be tag team partners, but we're also friends in the back. Like, we have this other situation going on. We don't always have to be side by side with Moxley and Darby at the very least. So it's cool. Like where they're going there. Something else I really like that they announced. They had a hype video for it. 16 women, 8-team AEW Tag Team Cup Tournament. So we will be getting women's tag team champions. We talked about this on the last couple episodes. I feel like we were wondering how they could even introduce tag team champions with lack of women.
My first question, Kira, was to Phil, and I said, did Kira pop? So I want to know what you thought.
I was like, as I think immediately when this happened, was this when Brandy and
No, that was
Allie
dark.
had...
That was dark.
Oh, okay. So on Dark, Brandy and Allie were talking about being a team together, and they were like, "We're hoping that this brings more women, more more tag team division because the men's had such a great one." And I was like, "Yes, they finally have brought this to light. They finally are talking about it." And then they showed this tonight or last night. And I was really excited. I was like, I was right. Like they're gonna like start doing this, and I'm excited. And I hope that Brandy and Allie get along. But I feel like maybe once this division starts, they'll probably just separate into their own tag team. I think, and then that'll just be like another start to a women's tag team, hopefully. And I'm excited. Do you guys have any like predictions of tag team matches?
I am excited to go off to what you just said. I'm excited.
Or tag teams.
But I'm cautiously optimistic because
I think, as far as predictions, I think Diamante and Ivelisse from that show late last night are going to end up being a tag team, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, I'll get more into that when that match comes up. But I meant to say I'm cautiously pessimistic because I really hope that this tournament doesn't end up like the TV title tournament, because obviously Allie and Brandy are probably going to make the finals. That's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
A lot of established talent.
I mean, unless they really build it up until then, because they didn't say when this is happening. They said this summer. So maybe,
maybe
when they figure out when they're gonna do it, they're gonna they'll get a lot more tag teams. Maybe they'll even break up and make their own better tag teams. Because
I would like that actually. I like some that would mean, but then the shitty part of that is the storyline would be that they would both be in the finals. Facing off against each other. Like, that's probably how they would do it.
That would still be a good story.
Predictable.
I wouldn't know who would... But still, I don't know.
It's a good story. It just wipes out the other 6 teams before it even starts. That's where it becomes like...
I just don't want to look at the bracket like I did with the TV title and be like, oh, finals right there. Because what I think the finals...
It's going to be hard, though, because these are going to be a bunch of new women at this point. You know, like...
Yeah, definitely.
They did give themselves time, so I imagine we'll probably have a couple of women back by then. But there's no guarantee.
It's probably going to pay off.
Have Britt and Chris back yet? Or
no, maybe Britt, because it'll be... Well, they said the summer... And All Out is September. I consider that like closer to the fall.
I wouldn't say Britt is going to be in this because she's got her Big Swole thing.
Big Swole and Britt Baker a tag
Big Swole might be in it where Britt can cost her team.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I was thinking that if Britt did get better by whenever they do this, that she could be on a team with Reba or Rebel, which I thought was funny that they touched on too. They didn't know what to call her.
Nobody does. They still don't.
Yeah, they still don't. And then maybe they'd go against like Big Swole and Nyla Rose since Britt.
No,
I don't know.
This is what I'm trying to say. My prediction. Damn it. The prediction is Nightmare Sisters against Penelope Ford and Nyla Rose. They had a tag match before. They work cohesively as a unit. They hit somebody with a title. Blah 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 blah.
Damn, you're probably calling it right now, especially if that's.
That doesn't make sense. I was either gonna say Nyla Rose and Big Swole,
and it's just gonna be another variation of the same 5-6 women we see on TV every week. So I hope it's something different.
We'll probably see like an Abaddon team. We'll probably see like a Dark Order female team.
I really hope she's not on the team because she seems like somebody who works alone.
Yeah.
They need her. What about her and Hikaru? That could be interesting. They faced off against each other. They had Hikaru played off on it really well. So I think that would be one that could work.
And there's no guarantee
she licked her face, and she was just so grossed about it. I don't know why I remember that, but it was just so nasty.
That's family right there.
Oh.
And there's no guarantee that Shida isn't in it just because she's champion. Because
she usually teams with Chris too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Chris
I think.
is a weirdo.
So there's a lot. If they could utilize all of the women that they have at their disposal that are overseas, it would definitely be a different situation. I just don't see that. And they're talking about it being in the summer. Like, we're kind of in the summer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I know.
It's gonna be interesting for sure. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off, but I'm excited they're doing it.
I
So
want to see
don't
new
want to be
women.
negative
That's what I
about
want.
it.
I want to see new, fresh faces
Yeah.
in the division that could potentially be good and fun. Like maybe this is where they do a partnership with Impact or Ring of Honor or just local companies to bring in one or two established women tag teams. I can't think of many off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are some on the indies already that they could bring in that would add something to this. If there was even one team that I knew of that was already a women's team before, you know what I mean? That's why Allie and Brandy have such a like. I don't even care if they win at this point because they've already established themselves as a team. The only other team that's been established, like Phil said, is Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford. So
We say that they've been established. They've only teamed like once,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
that's all it takes really in a division that shallow.
yes, but
Yeah.
it's fun to see the division being built up. Like I said, 16 women in general being introduced on AEW TV makes me excited because it's been the top 5, and that's all I could name a couple others probably, but they weren't ever very important.
I really hope they don't round it out with a bunch of teams of like dark enhancement talent like Roche, Chanel, and all those people that have 0 wins.
I would like to see those people partnered with people who have wins. You know what I mean? If anything,
That would be interesting, and that's an interesting concept because
Yeah.
then it makes it believable that there aren't teams that are destined to lose. You're just in there to lose.
But if you are going to put one of those teams that are destined to lose in there, do like a Cinderella story upset where they at least get the first round victory over someone you don't expect. Give us
Well,
something
they did
like
that with Private Party, and look how much it
that
did
was
for them.
well. That it did something though over time. You know
For
what I
a
mean?
minute, a little
Well,
bit.
even in the long run, you can always look back to the fact they had that big victory over the Young Bucks. It gives them
Yeah,
some
it was a
credibility.
good match too.
Going into any time they've challenged for the title, that's been the only thing I've really had to give them credit for. So it does help, I think, in the long run, especially those upset out of nowhere ones. If you think about the TNT tournament, we didn't really get any of those. And so it didn't build anyone from that tournament. At least the tag team tournament built the champions and then the winners at the end. So overall, I'm excited. It's definitely cool to see, like I said, any more women established on AEW TV is an exciting thing for me.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely. Like, as much as we can worry about if this is going to be bad, and it might be, the overall right now, this is a positive thing, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. After this, we get Alex Marvez. He's backstage with the Inner Circle. Chris Jericho asks what color his jacket's supposed to be. Says that Orange Cassidy ruined his $7,000 jacket. And tonight they're going to beat the Jurassic Express for laughing at them. Says Luchasaurus isn't really a dinosaur, and today they're going to make him extinct. So just Jericho doing what he does, building up the match for the end of the show. Probably not to say this was a bad promo, but there were a lot of really good promos on this show. So this one didn't necessarily stand out, but it was Jericho doing Jericho. It's Jericho. He's a whole. This is like a whole. His character isn't even to be the guy who cuts the best promos. It's the guy who cuts like entertaining promos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not much to say about this one.
No.
Not really.
I
Yeah.
don't get why he was wearing that jacket again. Maybe because it's
He
$7,000.
hasn't changed in a week. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Orange Cassidy did that when he bled all over his shirt. He came out with a bloody shirt, so
Oh,
they're probably not thinking that deep. But
It could be. Those subtle little things are fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you mentioned that because I'm sure a lot of people like me didn't even notice the Orange Cassidy one. So
So does that mean that they're filming it on the same day, or
No.
Oh, okay. They
No,
just
it's
wore it
like-
again.
yeah, no, I
Yes.
don't think so. I think they they probably filmed one on the same day. I think the Orange Cassidy thing might have been done on the same day, but I have no idea. I don't think that's what they're doing though. I think it's just like a haha thing. From here, we get a little bit more of a haha thing. The Young Bucks are looking for the Butcher and the Blade so they can start their Falls Count Anywhere match. They find them in the kitchen chopping up some meat, and the Young Bucks are immediately ready to fight. So we have a solid 15-minute match here. This one was really, really exciting, honestly. We're not a bunch of big Butcher and the Blade fans after this one, but I think after this one we kind of were, especially Phil.
Yeah, I love the Butcher, man. He's got a cool look. He looks cool. He does some cool things. He does the knee walk thing. That's great.
I like
Blade,
them
I don't
both.
really care about him.
The Blade. I think the Blade's cool. Maybe it's
I think the Blade is cool. Yeah, he's a small guy. He looks like he could scrap. I don't know. I like him, but I like the Butcher more for obvious reasons. He has. The
I thought
look.
this was going to be the main event.
Yeah, I did too. I thought
it had the stipulation. It wasn't something I was looking forward to. I had a lot of fun watching it.
It could have been. I
There's
was
a lot
gonna
of
say.
fun-
in hindsight, it
Yep.
should have been the main event.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny things they did. Obviously them walking to the back and they're cutting meat.
Which
because
they threw all over the floor.
Because Kira was pissed that they wasted money. There was an Employee of the Month sign that they showed for just a second, and it was literally the same picture of the Butcher and the Blade, like Butcher Blade, Butcher Blade, Butcher Blade. That was funny.
How did you notice that?
They threw Nick Jackson into a picture of himself on the truck. That was funny.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, a lot of entertaining stuff. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did a bunch of crazy shit too, especially when they brought it to the ring, which I thought this is where this match was going to be the whole time. They did crazy shit. They did with swantons off the
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
entrance.
Crazy ass
Good
finish.
Yeah, good finish.
Yeah.
Really, really good match. I knew who was gonna win. We all knew who was gonna win. But it was fun, and I think that's what's important. Like, you can still have fun with the match even though you know who's going to win, and they delivered on that front. I think the stipulation helped a whole lot with that regard.
Oh, yeah.
If this was just a regular match, I probably wouldn't
And the
have cared
fact
a
that they
little
started in the backstage rather than being in the ring, going to the backstage, and then coming back to the ring, perfect way they set it up. So I thought that was really great. And it was just high energy, basically from start to finish. The Butcher and the Blade kept up for the whole time. Like, the Blade doesn't stand out to me either, but he doesn't do a bad job. He absolutely is perfectly fine and serviceable in his role, and that's sometimes better than anything because the Butcher he's a badass character and he's got a good look, like Phil said. So
I don't think he speaks either.
no. So overall, this was really fun, and like I said, established the Butcher and the Blade as more of a legitimate team to me than they've probably done at all up to this point. They got a lot of time to shine. Didn't just get squashed for 15 minutes, so this was fun.
I think my thing with the Blade is that he's a smaller guy, so he makes the Butcher look way bigger.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yes, that's true.
Not only is he tall, he's a beefy dude.
Yeah. So overall, like you guys said, the finish was pretty crazy. It was really sweet. Young Bucks I don't know exactly what's going on with them. They continue to be one of the most exciting teams, but at the same time, I feel like a heel turn is potentially incoming. So
they feel a little directionless at this point, especially because they didn't do anything with FTR this week.
Yeah, and we'll get to that point here in a minute. First, we got to talk about Alex Marvez. He's backstage interviewing Jake Roberts and Lance Archer. Lance takes Marvez to the locker room, and he beats the shit out of a bunch of jobbers while Jake Roberts cuts a promo. He throws someone.
He threw him through the ceiling.
Yeah, through his ceiling. It was great. This was awesome. This was a really fun short segment. But Archer, when he does shit like this, it's perfect. It doesn't need to be a match. Actually, it's almost better when it's not. When he's just destroying nerds in the back.
This was one of those you had to see it to really appreciate it moments. If you're reading the recap to see what you want to see, Archer beats up a bunch of guys backstage. Oh, I've seen that before. But the way he did it, man, it was so comical and funny. He threw the guy through the ceiling. He fucking dumps this little dude in the trash like a high school bully. It was amazing. And then
he carried the one guy up by the back of his pants. It was great.
Yeah.
He was legit just a bully.
Yeah, Jake Roberts essentially blames on Alex Marvez for trying to get an interview. They all died because of him. Blood's on his
Everybody dies.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I never really understand what Archer's saying when he speaks. He's always like,
That's what Jake Roberts is for.
Yes.
Exactly.
After this, we get Diamante taking on Ivelisse. Midway through the match, we get a big swole promo on Britt Baker.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
I don't know if they
What
were
was
short on
that?
time or what, but hey, we have two brand new women. Rather than try and get you to care about them, here's a big swole promo. So
It was oddly timed for sure. It wasn't that long either, so they could have just like thrown it.
And
somewhere.
I didn't even hear what she was saying because they didn't like lower the crowds in the in the fight. So I was like, what did she say? And he was like, I don't know.
I still don't know what she said.
well, because and you're not really focused on her. You want to focus
Yeah, I
on the
wasn't paying
match.
attention.
So
Yeah.
it was just I maybe they were just trying something new. Maybe they were short on time. If you were trying something new, it wasn't very good. It didn't work out. But the match was fine. I think Phil said like they were beating the shit out of each other. They didn't do anything really awful. It was a nice introduction to two women that we might have seen in different companies, but definitely haven't seen here, or maybe seen on Dark. But they're finally getting their shine. You could see they have to build up the women's division, and this is a good start. Like you guys said, it looks like they're building up a tag team potentially with these two women. So
yeah,
good start.
And it's because they're similar characters, similar fighting styles, and there wasn't like a clean, decisive win. It was like a roll-up win, and then she was like, "Haha, I got you."
I wish the match. Maybe I don't know. But it was very short. I think this was the shortest match on the card. And so I wish it got like a couple more minutes, even like maybe an 8-minute match. But it did the job. They both looked nice. I wasn't looking at anybody like, wow, this person sucks. So I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was. Just the big swole thing and how short it was. It wasn't easy to like really get immersed in it.
Yeah, it was good that they had. It was good despite the fact they had two things working against them. One was the big swole thing. Takes away from it, and second, they had to follow up all these great segments that just happened, and you kind of knew that this would kind of be not as good as those things, but wrestling wise, it was really good. What they did.
Yep, absolutely good introduction to two new women. So after this, we get Hangman facing Five. He beats Five in about 8.5 minutes. AJ was really pissed off that Five got this much time against Hangman. After the match, Hangman beats down the Dark Order. Well, no, he stares down the Dark Order. Brody comes out, steps in the ring, saying that nothing but impressed with Adam Page. He's not impressed with his lack of friends, lack of tag team partner, and then offers protection from the Dark Order before they beat the shit out of him because Hangman says no. What'd you guys think of this?
I thought it was
not going to be joining the Dark Order.
Especially at this point, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I like the fact that FTR came in before Kenny to save him. Yeah, that's what got me. I was like, oh my God, where's Kenny? Where's Kenny? And then FTR comes out, and I'm like, oh shit.
I was hoping that's what it would be, but I thought it was going to be Kenny. So like, I wasn't even getting too into what was going on because I was like, oh, Kenny's just gonna come make the save, but I want it to be FTR, and of course, and then FTR are the ones who make the save, which I thought made this segment really interesting. Kenny arrives late. I think they said he was in the shower or some shit. So. That was interesting. It obviously adds that element that we want to see where this is going, and it's nice to, even though I want it to already have happened, it's nice to get more build to it and not just tossing Hangman and FTR together because it makes sense, but showing us why it makes sense because these guys are cool with him and they see that he's a cool dude, so they want to hang out and drink beers with him. So I really liked this. This was fun.
Yeah, I definitely like this. This was the only thing I didn't like about it is, as you said, 8 minutes for Five when Hangman should have beat him in like at least five.
Five for five, bro.
5 for 5.
The AEW 5 for 5 deal.
And then you could have given the women's match that just happened a little more time too.
So this I liked. The match itself, I have no really thoughts about it. The story isn't there. Obviously, the story is what happens afterwards. A few observations I got from this. Brody seems to be more comfortable in the role that he's given. I really liked his promo today. He said a lot of true shit, man. Kenny looks like a total idiot. He looks like a douchebag. He's surrounded by these guys, and he doesn't even think to come out and save him.
He was in the shower, bro.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, he was showering. He didn't even fucking wrestle. So what is he showering for? Showering.
You meant to.
He's being safe because of COVID.
Another thing I really appreciate about this segment was Colt Cabana. Really like Colt Cabana. He didn't even do anything. He just looks like he's like such a gullible child.
And pulling him to the back, away from all this. It's the fact that they had Hangman call it a cult first, and then do something so cult-like minutes later was just so fun to me. Like, we're gonna do something nefarious, so let's take the innocent mind away so he doesn't know about it right now, but he'll still be a part. Like, that was fucking sweet.
And then Brody like takes him out, and he's like this. He's like, "Don't worry about it. Like, let's walk to the back.
He's like,
we'll talk about it."
Okay, Dad.
I really, I also like how for months and months I've been saying, I think a lot of people have been saying, Hangman's the guy who's gonna turn. He's the bad guy. I thought he didn't stay a whole lot, but he did really well here. I wouldn't want to root against him. Kenny definitely seems way more unlikable at this point. I would really rather see Kenny be the bad guy. And it looks like they're kind of teasing that a little bit with the Marco stuff last week. It's a direction that a few months ago I wouldn't see how we were going to get there, but now that we're kind of getting there, I would rather see that more than the original idea.
Yeah.
Because everybody expects the Hangman turn. At this point, it was great. I really liked this segment. Again, I was reading this guy's review about it just to recap, just refresh my mind, and he was saying that, oh, they should have had Matt Hardy be the leader of the Dark Order. It's so stupid. You're so stupid.
Yeah, did they see
What a mark.
They showed Matt Hardy during like a commercial.
Yeah, they showed him in the main event.
He's just he's a fan now. That's all Matt Hardy is. So
Yeah, kinda.
What Matt Hardy's doing.
Like a manager.
he wouldn't be any better as the Dark Order leader, though. Brody's stepped into that role really well since the beginning. Now the Dark Order I take a lot more serious. And I'm with you. I would almost rather see Hangman turn. Like the way the story is played out is it makes more sense for Kenny to snap and be like, what the fuck, dude? I've actually been here for you this long, but you want to be buddy with these guys, and fine, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Then for Hangman to all of a sudden be like, oh, now that I'm with this crew, let me do something really shitty and beat up Kenny, because it's not like FTR seems like they have an issue with Kenny, but it's not like they want to beat up Kenny. It just seems like they don't like Kenny. So we'll have to see. It could come as early as next week. Next week they have Hangman and Kenny defending the titles against the Dark Order. I could be wrong on this one. I've been wrong every other time I've said it, but I think it's coming next week. Just because beating the Dark Order after this point, who do you then line up for a tag team title match? Or I suppose they could lose the titles and not do the turn, but I feel like how do you, at that point, these guys just wouldn't associate with each other. So it very well could be next week, especially if they... You're right. You could be right.
It's going to be all out. I feel like it's going to happen now against FTR because you've got all the elements of that storyline that they're building are going to come to head in one match. That's what I feel like it's going to happen. It felt that way with the Young Bucks match way long ago when we still had fans, and that was a great match, and it was a great storyline that would have set up something totally different from what we have now. So I feel like all out. That's it. If it goes on any longer, I swear to God on the cross, I'm going to be so
I just wonder, like, and I'm with you, I just don't know if they can do what they've been doing right now for another 2 months. I think within a month, Kenny would snap, Hangman would snap. One of them would have a situation where they should turn on each other, so why not do it now before it feels too drug out? Where, we've been saying they could do it for a month, but they have kept it going effectively. At some point, it will be too drug out. And I'm not even saying they're getting close to it, but this is a good point. This is also a good point to do like a red herring situation where, again, they just had a segment with the Dark Order. We're buying into it so much, they could easily back right out of it. Because I do think they want to do Hangman and Kenny versus the Bucks versus FTR. I feel like they really want to get that match in, and you can't get it in with them doing the turn now. So.
I feel like it is interesting. We did kind of say last week or the week before that it was kind of drug out, and now I have a totally different opinion on it because it's entertaining television. It's entertaining storyline telling.
And they have so many tag teams who could be champions now.
So I don't want it to drag out for 2 months, but if it's going to be entertaining like this, I'm not going to really mind.
I just think I also kind of want the Dark Order to win the titles. Like they've been undefeated. They're ranked really well. They've come back and look better at this point.
Especially Player Uno is definitely slimmed down and taking it a little more
serious. And the
serious.
gyms were closed, bro. So you got to give them extra credit for that one. So. I'm looking forward to a potential Dark Order title run. I think that they've come up short too many times as a group that, despite the fact that we think they're getting better, more losses in title, especially in title contention, isn't going to help them. A title win here actually would really help Dark Order. So I'm really tuned into next week, especially for that tag team title match. I'm excited for that. Hikaru Shida taking on Diamante next week. That's going to be exciting as well. And another exciting tag team match in Darby and Moxley versus Cage and Starks. So, that's
especially with the tornado tag stipulation. That's something we actually haven't seen. We've seen so many.
And they fucking basically do it in every tag team match anyway.
Exactly.
Why not establish it?
Bitching about tag ropes and who's the legal man and why isn't the referee getting him out of there, making everybody look like a retard.
It makes a bunch of sense for Mox because he would easily be pulling them out of the Mox does that type of shit in matches in general. He's always fighting outside of the ring. In a tornado tag match, it makes sense to fight outside of the ring. So, and I imagine they'll add a Cody TNT title match to that, which will just stack an already. Oh, so that'll be even more to the card. Potentially, like I said, seeing someone like Warhorse would make sense to me there. Just a filler match, and I would love to see, like, even if we talked about Eddie Kingston at the beginning of the show, obviously, somehow introduce him to do a short storyline with Cody for the title, even if it's a placeholder storyline before All Out, because like I said, I don't want to see him used or signed just to be used as fodder to other people. But if they did a 1 month story with Cody, have him come back for the title, Cody be like, "No, I already beat you," and have him work his way up to it. I mean, it is similar to the Lance Archer thing. I think it would still be fun, and you could easily have Kingston destroy Warhorse's opportunity next week, and it would help everyone essentially. Helps Warhorse, gets his opportunity ripped from him. Helps Eddie Kingston, and creates a story for Cody finally for the title. So just something that I would like to see. In the main event, we get Chris Jericho and Jake Hager defeating the Jurassic Express in a 17-minute squash match. It wasn't an actual squash match. I shouldn't say that because people would definitely shit on me for that one. The Jurassic Express definitely got some shit in, but at the end of the day, you knew who was going to win. The fact that it
squash match, like you said,
it never really, like, in terms of like the Butcher and the Blade match, they kind of came out of it looking better. I don't feel like Jurassic Express has done anything to look better over the last however many months. I feel like they've really just like blown it with this character. If I was Jungle Boy, I would be mad as fuck that they had that Griff guy even on TV because of how similar we look. Like, literally. I get that from our perspective, it's like, oh, what does it matter? But from his perspective, he should be like, what the fuck? Like, he looks so like maybe he wrestles better than me. Like there. I feel like there's a lot of thought that could go into that. Maybe that kid has 5 more years under his belt than Jungle Boy. So they're not gonna recast Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy's look is what made people appeal to him early on. You know what I mean? Like, and now they have a guy who looks exactly the same as him. And if he just has to win 3 or 4 matches, and I would already consider Griff way better than Jungle Boy because
I would think Jungle Boy has won 3 or 4 matches, like you're saying.
So that's what I'm saying. If Griff won 3 or 4, he'd immediately be a way better star. And it's just like redoing what they fucked up with Jungle Boy. So, yeah, the match itself, it didn't do a whole lot for me. At the end, we have Orange Cassidy come out and set up an Inner Circle versus Orange Cassidy match. So Inner Circle versus the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy. Oh, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So this is just a big fucking clusterfuck next week.
Yeah, this match, like I said from the top, like I enjoyed everything about this show except for like one match and maybe Hangman.
And I forgot the best fucking part, that Sammy G is back. How could I forget?
Yeah. Serpentico.
I knew he was never Serpentico, but for 2 seconds I was like, is it really gonna just be recasting Sammy? Like,
because Kira said something like, "Has he been Serpentico the whole time?" And for a minute there, I was like, "Maybe." I've never heard of that fucking guy before this, but
they had him on a show.
That'd be really scummy, right? If they like just made this fake character so Sammy could still show up and collect checks.
Well, Serpentico was there before the Sammy situation, but that would be fucked up.
I figured as much.
Okay.
I figured as much.
So he just like stole his hat and whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's happened before in wrestling.
Yeah.
It's a Jericho thing, honestly. That's how Jericho debuted with AEW at All Out, is he came out dressed as Pentagon and attacked Kenny Omega, I think. So it makes a lot of sense for someone under Kenny to do something like that. And it kind of adds to Serpentico in a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing Sammy versus Serpentico now. We've probably seen it before, too.
I've seen him on the indies before in person, and he's really good. And not only that, I was wondering throughout the show why they were cutting to Serpentico so much. Yeah, because like they were cutting to him a lot of him just like clapping or like boo or whatever, and so that all came together at the end, which I liked a lot. The post-match stuff was cool, but the match itself really, it just didn't do it for me, man. You knew who was going to win, like you said. I mean, you didn't say it, but I'll say it. It was a glorified squash match. And there's really nothing that was going to make me excited to see this because, of course, Chris Jericho is not going to lose to Jungle Boy and Jurassic or to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. There's just no chance in hell of that happening. And so I don't know.
Serpentico has a victory in AEW, by the way.
Does he really?
With Luther against Brody Pierce and Pineapple Pete on AEW.
Oh fuck! I watched that one.
Yeah,
disgusting.
Serpentico's been around for a while, though, so definitely since before the whole situation, which is like good. But like I said, I think this does something for Serpentico because fucking Sammy looked so good playing the character for a minute that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to see Serpentico now. That's why I was almost like, oh, is this guy replacing him because he looked cool? And then it just was Sammy, so I was like, oh, even better. That was a good way to end the show though, and Sammy's been gone for long enough. I don't know if people are upset that he's back, but I don't think he needed to. Like, he's been gone for long enough. This was a substantial punishment, suspension. I'm glad that they did it all very subtly, easily, and now it's over with. Like, yeah, it was something stupid. He doesn't deserve to be buried for it, like might happen in other companies, and they're able to just move on from it. So.
Yep.
They did show Matt Hardy for a second during the commercial. Great timing, by the way. If you weren't looking at it for the stupid hashtag, you probably didn't see it. Maybe they'll go back to the Sammy Matt Hardy thing that they were trying to do before. Maybe it'll give Matt Hardy something to do.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't even want to see Sammy wrestle him now because Matt Hardy has done such nothing in the meantime since debuting with AEW that like I feel like it would be a step down for Sammy.
It's funny that Matt Hardy said in an interview recently that he loves how he's being used in AEW, which I guess is not at all. Sit on your ass and collect paychecks, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Come out with Private Party for no reason. We'll never have any indication of why he did that. He's just the homie, I guess.
Yeah, I don't love the Matt Hardy thing at this point. It feels like after they did that, what was it, the Stadium Stampede match? Since then, he's been almost nothing to me. Which has been really disappointing because all I've wanted in AEW is the Broken Universe. I really wanted to see Sammy G drive across country and end up at Matt Hardy's house and fight Matt Hardy. And like that's it sounds crazy, but it should be so possible with these guys.
It should.
And it didn't happen, and then instead it's just consistently been like, oh man, there's cool shit coming, and sometimes AEW takes it away, man, and it's not necessarily their fault, but I feel like the Matt Hardy thing, he definitely invited Sammy to come to his house, and they just kind of left that for dead. And then the whole blood and guts match, like I get that there's been a pandemic, man, but I feel like that could have happened.
But on that note, like, a pandemic is happening and you're not utilizing the Hardy compound. Like, that makes me think like they're just not going to do it in general.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's the only part about Matt Hardy I don't love. But overall, this was a really, really good show. Probably one of the better shows from AEW in a long time, which is funny because they just followed up. This is following up 3 pay-per-view episodes of Dynamite, which were anything but that, I would say.
Dude, and next week looks sick. That card is stacked as hell.
Absolutely. Adding the best friends, OC and Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, like against the Inner Circle.
Happening.
Yeah, that's a good match too. You know what I mean? It's a lot of there's some high flyers in that, so that should just be a good old fashioned brawl. That should be my blood and guts match right there, though. Fucking quit making me wait a year. They're gonna make us wait a year for it now. But overall, again, Dynamite, great show.
Great.
Not a whole lot to complain about at all. I do want to see the next direction for the world champion at some point. Again, they easily could still do him versus Mox because those two don't really have anything established for them totally. But with Cage and Starks taking on Darby and Mox, I would want to see MJF at least attack Moxley at some point next week or something like that. You know what I mean? If they're going to get that storyline rolling.
Yeah, if they are, whatever they're going to do, they just need to start doing it, especially with MJF.
Yeah. Overall, I didn't necessarily watch Dark. I know the rest of us didn't either. There's not a whole lot to talk about on that front. The only thing that would have been worth discussing would have been our boy Ricky Starks aligning himself with Brian Cage, but of course they covered that on Dynamite this week. So we don't have a whole lot to get into there. Like we said, next week's show looks great. Is there anything else you guys wanted to cover before we close out the show?
No, I just checked to see if the ratings were up, and they are not, so you'll have to wait.
We're going to win, Joseph.
We are going to win.
Joseph, we're going to win.
No chance Dexter is going to win the ratings after that show.
Yeah, get out of here. And baseball's back next week, Joseph. NXT is dead. The Boomers are gone.
Who's Joseph?
The long-time listener, never been a caller. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Go ahead and what's your social media, Phil?
Is it above me?
Nah, your wall is too white and the font is white, so they can't read it. So you got it. Oh, but yeah. Here, I'll put it on your face. At Philip Domino for the listeners.
Spelling.
You can find Phil at ph. Fuck that. At Philip Domino on Twitter. Kira, go ahead. Your social media.
Kira_Slater.
See, that shows you the difference in worker between Phil and Kira. Phil is too lazy to even announce his name. Kira will do the work. And AJ, where can they find you, brother?
You can follow me on Twitter at BigMatchAJ, and you can follow me on Instagram at AJTheFitzy.
And you can find me on Twitter at All Elite Andy. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/AllElitePod. Instagram at All Elite Everything. On Twitter at All Elite Podcast. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you can catch us on youtube.com/AllElitePodcast. And if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you smash that subscribe button, brother. Until next time.